Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Coinsider live stream. It is Friday, August 1st, and I'm really excited to dig in today with y'all on the main topic of the day. Is August bullish or bearish? But before we get into this whole show, please give me a quick mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me okay? Do I sound loud and clear? Okay, I got a mic check. Thank you very much. So I do these streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I missed Wednesday. So sorry about that, but I usually am very consistent doing these Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 12 noon Eastern time. So you know exactly when to tune in. Like I said, today the main segment is whether or not August is bullish or bearish. And we're going to look at a lot of different views on this. It's going to be really interesting. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this entire stream. However, if you are watching this VOD after the fact, then I will leave you timestamps below so you can jump around to different segments as you like. Also, real quick, my goal is 100 likes on the stream. So if you're able to help us there, whether you're watching now or afterwards, a like would be greatly appreciated. Also, just real quick before we dive in, check this out. This melt up video, you guys definitely need to watch this melt up video if you haven't already. I outlined the scenario where Bitcoin could go to a crazy number followed by an 80% crash. And it is not clickbait, I promise you, or else I'll personally apologize if you don't think I laid out a logical path or scenario to those crazy numbers. Okay. So you definitely should. Yes, we are going to talk about tariffs too, Dario. Great question there. We're going to talk about all of that. But before we get to any of that, you know what it is. It is time for a market pulse segment. I'll keep this really quick today. But we just want to take a quick look at how the market is doing, especially since there was a dump recently at the very start of August, right? Like there was quite the notable dump. Yeah, there's quite the notable dump, especially like with ETH and altcoins got just like destroyed, right? Hyperliquid down 10%. I can't wait to get some juicy entries here. A lot of other altcoins. But if we take a look at trading view, actually, wait, let me go back here real quick. So, okay, one sec. Where is market overview? Right? Fear and greed is pulling back into neutral. Alt season. Everyone was like saying, oh, it's alt season already. Well, that is pulled back to more Bitcoin season, 35 out of 100. Right? ETF flows, there's been some negatives. Ethereum still a little tiny bit positive, but Bitcoin has been negative on Thursday. On Wednesday, it was both positive, but small amounts. Right? Okay. Let's take a look at trading view. Okay, one sec. I was just taking a look at the chat real quick. BTC dominance. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, this is the daily, but notice how after this big drop, now there's been a reversal. So now the question is, how far does this go, right? Does this go to new highs eventually, like Ben Cohen says? I think so, but there could also be some things in between, right? Like this, perhaps. We'll have to keep an eye on this. This is quite interesting. Another question is DXY, right? We saw this pump right here, but then now there's a sharp rejection. So let's keep an eye on DXY because that's something I want to talk about in the like August forecast section. Some people are talking about DXY on if this really just like rockets back, in which case it'd be terrible for risk assets and even Bitcoin potentially. So want to keep an eye on this. Yeah, your alts are still bleeding into ETH. There's been a tiny recovery. If you can even see this, let me take off the volume real quick. A tiny recovery, but still, look at this trend. Like this looks like it could go even further to, like at least here, maybe even here, right? This is altcoins versus ETH. So if you want to hold any alts at all, I'd rather hold ETH. Just look at today. Just look at today how much the other alts have been bleeding compared to ETH, right? That should be, yeah, jobs report, exactly. We're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about all of that. You guys are right on point. You guys are so smart. Y'all are so smart. One sec. But we're still on the market pulse segment before we get to some news. Let's see. Funding rates, of course, nothing is crazy. It's all quite muted. No euphoria, of course. Here, though, there's a lot of longs looking to be liquidated at 113K and a lot of shorts at 116. Okay. This changed since the last time I looked. People repositioned. So interesting. We could even go lower to liquidate these levels, right? Mac last thing, Max Payne. Like I said, these aren't really, we'll keep an eye as we get closer to like September and whatnot. These are big ones in terms of notional value, but this can change over time as people buy more options expiring on this particular date. So I don't want to focus on this too much. Instead, I want to talk about the first big, beautiful news segment of the day. And that is rate cuts or no rate. We're going to get a jobs report, okay? I promise we're going to get to the jobs report and a lot of other stuff. But the first thing is the big, beautiful news, rate cuts or no rate cuts, okay? And I'm going to walk you through some stuff here because this is very important. This is like the macro picture. So let me scroll down. Okay, so here we are. Let me just make sure y'all can see this. So this was on July 30th. Fed leaves rates unchanged for fifth straight meeting, no cuts. They voted 9-2 to keep interest rates unchanged. Inflation somewhat elevated, unemployment rate low, and labor market quote unquote solid. Waller and Bowman dissent, preferring a 25 basis point cut. Trump calls for 300 basis points of rate cuts. Right now, why is that? Okay, well, Powell's comments. Okay, I don't really need to. And they've also said they've made no decisions about September. So for a while, the market was saying that we may not even get any rate cuts this year at all. Right? Now, the question is why? Well, okay, so the markets start falling, And here, the odds of the Fed cutting rate 0 times in 2025 surged to 25% in Kalshi and Poly market, right? But let me show you something. And Trump is mad, of course. He's saying that Powell is too late. Right here. This is a key reason why they didn't want to cut rates. June PCE inflation rises to 2.6% above expectations of 2.5%. PCE inflation is now up for 2 consecutive months. 2 consecutive months. Powell will now point to higher inflation, right? So inflation is a big thing that the Fed is concerned about. That's why they don't want to cut rates right now. One sec. And then the market sold off. That has to do with the trade war as well. But yeah, look, market's been selling off. President Trump says that the Fed board should assume control, do what has to be done. The labor market appears to be weakening. They revised the reports to show just 1,400 jobs added. Huge reduction, huge revision. Here, check this out. Today's jobs report was pivotal. This was today, by the way. There's 2 ways to get the Fed to cut interest rates: lower inflation, weaker labor market. Minus 258,000 jobs were just revised down from the May and June jobs report. Unemployment rose to 4.2%, and July missed expectations. So we have to keep watching the labor market. That's a big reason why. Oh, look, this is insane. Massive downwards job revisions, right? It went from plus 144,000 to 19,000. In June, from 133,000 to 14,000. That's massive. 258,000 that just vanished from the data. This is why you can't trust the government data many times, guys. Right? And that is why the U.S. labor market entering a recession, something is seriously wrong with the data, right? You can't trust the data. And now, if you look at this, the odds of a Fed decision to cut just rocketed today. Look at how much it rocketed. 25 basis point cut went from 38 to 75%, essentially. Rocket ship for this. And October cut is high as well. Let me take a look at the comments real quick. You watched the melt up video, 500K. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit too optimistic, but if we do have a melt up and S&P goes to 9,000 and NASDAQ to 30,000, then BTC could easily go to like 300K at least. Alts are screwed. NASDAQ and SPX already top. No alt season. I think you guys need to be patient about this. I'm going to show you some reasons why, okay? I think you need to be patient about this. One sec. One more thing on this particular news. Check out this analysis. Downwards revision in labor market means Fed is more likely to cut in September. Only hurdle is the inflation data. If we get cool inflation data, then the Fed will definitely cut in September. If CPI comes in hot, Fed may still cut, but the bond market would likely revolt. So there's a lot of moving pieces to here. Now, give me a second as I pull up. There's a lot of news I want to cover today. That's related to how August is going to play out. Okay, so the next big, beautiful news segment is about Project Crypto. Have you guys heard about it? This is from the SEC, and This is the new, no longer Gary Gensler, right? We got Paul Atkins. They unveiled Project Crypto, a sweeping commission-wide initiative to modernize securities regulations for on-chain markets. It's the most bullish thing I've seen in a long time from a regulator. Almost all tokens are not securities. Want to discourage the centralization kabuki theater. Americans should not get excluded by IPVPN blocks. Explicit exemptions for ICO, airdrops, etc. Non-securities should be tradable alongside securities. Protect software engineers. Streamline licensing requirements. Innovation exemption. Wow, 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 wow. So bullish. Bullish for retail DAO too. So this means permission to build, right? We have permission to build, folks. Yeah, token distribution just got safer. Self-custody is protected. Staking and lending can run on US registered platforms. Early stage builders get breathing space. No more DeFi into TradFi boxes. Amazing. And DeFi Ignos was saying, bullish news, no pump equals buy and wait. So feeling bullish now because the SEC releases the most bullish news for crypto in the decade, and market is like flipping us off, right? But bullish news, no pump, buy and wait is DeFi Ignos's conclusion. We will talk about all these ideas. Okay, there's things to be considered on both sides. So one sec, but I also want to show y'all this. This is quite cool too. So with this permission to build and stuff, companies are finally entering the US again. Like Nexo, for example. Remember Nexo? Here, let me pull up Nexo real quick. Nexo, still around, looking to re-enter the US markets. You can do like savings accounts, like lending, borrowing, and they have a card as well, right? But they are hosting the Nexo Championship for golf, and President Trump inaugurated a new golf course in Scotland, if you remember that. So the Nexo co-founders were there, and Nexo is seeking to re-entering the U.S. market. And they're hosting like these golf tournaments as part of their strategy and whatnot. So I think, leveraging its involvement in global golf to promote its adoption of digital finance products, including crypto-backed loans, high-yield savings, and trading tools. I think it'd be cool to see these like lending, borrowing platforms come back into the US in a safer, regulated manner instead of just getting kicked out, right? Instead of just getting kicked out with no rules. And I think it's awesome to see them do this golf stuff in Scotland with President Trump as well. Where was that? One sec. There was some like pictures too. Yeah, Trump International Golf Links at Scotland. Right here. They were part of this Scotland event. But yeah, so something related to that is another thing that's affecting the markets lately. Wait, let me change this. We have so many big, beautiful news segments today, but it matters because this controls what happens in August. This affects what happens in August. tariffs and trade wars. Check this out. This was also announced like pretty recently. New tariffs, 35% on Canada, a lot of Asian countries, small deficit nations at 15% tariffs. And even India, tariff of 25%. Trade war and tariffs are also affecting this market volatility, right? So we got to keep an eye on these as well. Personally, I don't think this is going to be a huge long-term negative effect as we've seen in the past. I think they're going to get it all worked out, but it is something to keep an eye on, though. Okay. Let us move into the main segment of the day. Bullish or bearish for August, right? And I kind of want to move two segments into one. I want to do this KOL call tracking while we look at people's analysis for August. First of all, some of these clowns are already wrong. Like Alex Becker saying alt season is coming, and then it like dumped back down. Alt season near. Yeah, we're about to like make a lot of these alt season calls wrong if August is not great. But anyhow, let's take a look at some. By the way, if you guys have stuff you want us to track in the KOL call tracker, just tag at retail DAO under the call and we will track it automatically for you. That's how it works. But first, let's talk about August. So if we look at this, August has historically been a bad month, right? However, some people argue that in post-halving years, it's actually like quite good, right? So our August just started now. Is it going to be like the median, or is it going to be like one of these post-halving years where it's like really strong, right? We shall see. We shall see. We shall see. And we're going to look at a lot of different analysis today about people's views on August. Did they write the tariff rate on Brazil? I don't know. Let me see. US latest tariff rate on Brazil. 50%? What the heck? That's crazy. 50%. Wow. Okay. But anyhow, talking about seasonality, the final August of the cycle was bullish, even though the first two, this is 2015, 2016, 2017. And this guy is saying 2023 was bearish, 2024 was bearish, 2025 should be bullish based on this kind of seasonality analysis. Don't know if that's going to happen, but point is, we shall see about the seasonality. We shall see as we go ahead looking at other people's analysis today. Degen Ping, kind of like a guru master of the markets, is saying Jetavana August is upon us. And according to people, that means it's a time to not get shaken out and a time to meditate. So the theory is that he means August is going to be very volatile and very choppy, but not necessarily a big crash. So we could have a pullback, but then it's going to swing back up and then swing back down and then swing back up. Very choppy. That is how I'm personally reading Jetavana August. The only way, two ways I would say Ping is wrong with this call is if it's like super bad in August and stays bad, or it's super good in August by the end of it, right? In that case, I would say that he is wrong. This master of the market per se. I already wrote down Ping's call here. But let's take a look at some other stuff. If you're following M2, then if you're following this M2 correlation, the theory is that August will end up positive and we'll get a local top somewhere around September if you follow this. I personally don't buy this. But hey, if August keeps going up like this, then maybe this correlation will still stand for now. So chat, let me know what you think about the M2. Yeah, I've already started checking off the July end calls. So chat, let me know what you think about this M2 correlation. If you buy this, it's going to be a good August. Ali writes, as long as 105,000 support holds, BTC could be on track for a move to new all-time highs based on short-term cost holder basis. Let me add this to the call tracker, by the way. Give me a sec. BTC to 125K as long as 105K holds. Okay, when was this call though? When was this call? July 31st. And look, I wrote retail DAO track this, right? If you see any calls you want added to this, just tag retail DAO and we will track it for you. This is July 31st. Let's give it 2 months. TBD BTC. Okay. Next one. Mags, the scalping pro, thinks it's a matter of time before the price goes vertical, even though we've had a pullback. So bullish retest is what he's saying. Let me add this to the KOL call tracker too. July 31st, Mags. We already have a Mags. July 31st, 2025. BTC vertical soon. August. Let's do August here. Adding in calls. Every time you tag us, we will track it for you. This trader is bullish on August still, saying that we bid more into this area, this FGV, and then back up. I'm bullish on August right here. Let me track this too. Why not? We're in a tracking mood today. AA. What is this? August 1st. Oh, whoops. I need to do right here. August 1st, 2025. Bullish on August. Okay, 8/31, 2025. BTC. Carl 0x. This is not Carl the Moon. BTC is on its road to 133K. Bull flag, bull market higher. I gotta track this one. I have to. I have to, guys. Carl, not Carl the Moon, just Carl. I got a screenshot. August, BTC to, what did he say? 133K in August. That's a bold call, even with this recent. A lot of people are going to get called out on X if they're right or wrong. They're going to be applauded if they're right and called out if they're wrong. Okay. We have some other stuff. Right here, Income Sharks. I am a huge fan of Income Sharks. He says, no panic, squiggles right on schedule. He did draw a squiggle to the trend line, retest, and then back up. So I'm a big fan of Income Sharks. Big fan, but still gonna track his calls. You see this? Track this call, please. That's all you guys got to do to get us to track calls. Income Sharks, August ends bullish. And when is this call? This is today. Oh, no, this is July 30th. Okay. Okay, August ends bullish. I don't only have bullish calls, by the way. So, but I do have a few more. I don't only have bullish calls. I have some for variety. But this guy saying filling the CME gap. Remember the CME gap? It got filled and now ready for a massive rally. Food for thought. Pentoshi writes, what if you are getting bearish the first day of August and we are putting in the monthly lows early in the month? What if, right? Food for thought. It's just like he wrote, getting bearish the first day of jubilant July, it was like giving up the first minute of the game, right? If you got bearish at the start of July, you got effed because July was joyful, as we have established. Here's someone else's outlook for a month of August. Two scenarios being considered. Dump to 112, then pump to all-time high. Break below 112, dump to 104 to 98, then pump to all-time high. So this guy is calling for all-time highs in August regardless. Sickening Cycle Theory writes, as mentioned, I believe the bottom will occur post-unemployment data. In early August, we should find a bottom around 111 to 113. Then we move up. Actually, I want to track this one too. I want to track this call. Sickening Cycle Theory. When was his call? It was in August 1st. BTC bottoms around 111 to 113K, then up. Okay. Let me take a screenshot of this too. Okay. Here's one for you that's not necessarily super bullish. Nico writes, considering a slow rest of the summer and chop. Alts probably have a rough time these next few weeks. And then this chart shows a end of year pump to new all-time highs, essentially. So this is actually a very contrarian and different one than what we've seen, right? July 31st, Nico. Let me track this. Summer chop, then end of year pump. Unfortunately for this one, we're going to have to wait until the year end potentially before we can truly call it. And this guy, finally a bearish one for y'all. Bitcoin is flashing a triple bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. Price is climbing, momentum is not. This is the kind of setup that ends cycles, not starts them. So Alejandro BTC definitely got to track this call because it's so contrarian right now. Or I guess it's not that contrarian. Alejandro BTC. This call was made on July 30th, so a few days ago already. Cycle end is near. Let's see. Let's give him some time for that. Okay, I added a lot today, but I have more. I have more, folks. We've been looking at BTC lately, but now let's take a look at ETH. Income Sharks writes ETH OBV has broken local resistance already. As a leading indicator, this means that the price will follow, which means a push up to at least 4,100 in the coming days or weeks. This is a bold call, especially after our recent dump. So let us record this. Income Sharks. When did he make this call? July 30th. ETH to 4,100 in net few days or weeks. Okay. Let's give him the end of the month. And this is a call about ETH. Smiley Capital thinks ETH to 8,000. Doesn't really give a time frame, but he's looking at the 3-month candles for ETH. Interesting. Wolf, this may be wrong already. He says, I mapped the reversal. I held through the noise. Most waited, most doubted, most missed it. ETH isn't about to move. It already is. Next stop, euphoria. He may be already wrong because ETH trading view, because ETH has been kind of dumping lately, right? With the rest of the market, of course, but we shall see. This really needs to start pulling up again fast for Wolf to be right on this. Also, this ETH bull, Owen, probably the last week to buy ETH sub 4K until next bear market. He is also potentially going to be wrong very soon unless ETH starts moving fast, right? Giving himself a week for this call. Okay, let's take a look at some other things, not BTC or ETH related in terms of calls, though. That's a great question. We do check them off together on stream, but I also do it off stream sometimes too. And I post a result on Retail DAO's page. For example, let's see. For example, I've been posting the results here, like Capo being wrong, Mel being wrong, Hitesh getting a kind of rating on his call, right? I posted results publicly too, to answer your question. Also, to answer your question about OBV, it is mainly a volume indicator. OBV aims to identify potential buying or selling pressure and potential trend reversals. It's a running total of volume. It is considered a leading indicator, meaning it can provide early signals of potential price changes, but may not always be accurate. Obviously, nothing is 100% accurate. Like I said, I want to talk about some other assets people have been analyzing and sharing about besides ETH and BTC. Like Tyler Durden wrote Pump Fund has bottomed. And has it bought? Did it bottom or was he wrong? Let's see. Pump coin market cap. Let's see. 7 days. So he may be right, actually, in terms of its bottom, because he called it after this, and it hasn't gone down below it yet. Pump Fund. So we shall see. This is an interesting call. Coin trader Nick, who I also highly respect, says he thinks crypto outperforms equities from here all the way until year end after some early August weakness. And this is crypto total market cap versus S&P 500. So that should be really interesting to follow. Sheldon Trading wrote out a NASDAQ forecast, and he thinks it's going to revisit fair value and then continue the sell-off. So I wrote retail Dow track this call, please. And he said under pressure. See, you guys should just tag us on X when you see some calls that you want us to track and let you know the result in the future. Tag retail Dow and we will track it. Here's another interesting thing. The US dollar will form a death cross. The last 2 weekly death crosses marked the bottom and sent DXY on a massive move higher. So is this guaranteed? No. But if DXY does go on a massive move higher, then that will be pain for the markets. Here's some bearish stuff for you. This guy, Mac 10, Suburban Drone, most bearish chart on the internet. He's saying that this will be the largest crash in history because of the tariff stuff. Honestly, I'd be quite surprised if this happens. Like, there's a lot of bears that get it wrong. Like, remember Finance a Lot was saying BTC would never go above $112,000. Well, he ended up being oh so wrong. So the bears are good for engagement, and the bulls, of course, but they're not always right. So I wouldn't worry too much when you see stuff like this. So, folks, I want to move on to a different segment, the change my mind segment. Now, this is going to be fun, okay? This is going to be really fun because you might disagree with me. Change my mind, folks. No rate cuts equals bullish. You're probably wondering why. You're probably wondering why. Let me know if you agree or disagree, by the way. I have some things for you to consider here. This may be a little bit contrarian for you. Like here, no rate cuts equals bullish, unpopular opinion. When cuts equals shit hits the fan. Guys, no rate cuts is bullish. Rate cuts equals weakness. Unpopular opinion, rate cuts will mark the top. If we get rate cuts in September, October, that is when a lot of other analysts are calling for the top. So maybe this will line up like people are predicting here. Income Sharks thinks that we don't get rate cuts this year, but they will come in 2026 when everyone is super bullish and the bears will be gone. Rate cuts will come too late per usual and mark a correction like you said. So This is an interesting food for thought. What's the point of tracking KOLs? To see who's actually good or bad at analyzing and predicting and doing calls, right? Some people are actually legitimately good, other people are LARPs. We want to build out a reputation system over time, and that's what we're doing with the call tracking system. So point is, change my mind. No rate cuts is actually bullish. When rate cuts come, it could mark the top. And it could mean that we're in a worse off situation in terms of the foundations or like the economy per se. So if you guys want to navigate this tricky markets and have a great group of savvy retail investors with you, then you got to join us at Retail DAO. The link for the website, if you want to scan the QR code, is right here. And one thing I want to note is that in our roadmap phase 2, which I told you about last time, one of them is building internal tools for the members of Retail DAO. So one thing that I'm going to be leading is building out a portal or dashboard. And we're taking community comments right now in terms of what you guys want to see in that portal. Like, do you want to see like macro indicators or like easier to understand like options indicators? Maybe you want to see like sentiment indicators. And it doesn't even have to be indicators. It could be like resources, like guides, videos, like things that we recommend. It could also be like we could have a list of trending narratives. We can have airdrop calendars, like top 5, top 10 airdrops to keep your eyes on. We can have all sorts of stuff in the portal. The point is, I'm looking for your feedback in the Discord. I have a thread in the alpha forum saying like, we're building the portal. What do you want to have in there? And we will build it for you. And if you haven't joined Retail DAO yet, and if you consider yourself a retail investor who cares about analysis, debates, discussions, supporting each other, and not just like going it alone and like listening to these KOLs that we track, right? Then join us at Retail DAO using this QR code or link is in the description. Other than that, personally, just taking a step back, I think August will. I originally thought it was going to be bad, but now I'm not so sure anymore. I actually think we could like be not like as joyful as July, but I do think that we will not be awful August either. Maybe chop or a little bit, just a little bit bullish is what I personally think. But I'm curious to hear what y'all think though. Do you think chat, let me know. I'm not going to end the stream yet. Let me know right in the chat if you think August is going to be amazing or awful or in between. Just write that, just one word or 2 words in the case of in between. Amazing, awful, or in between. Please write that in the chat. I'm going to wait to see what the chat says because, yeah, I'm curious. Most likely in between. You also thought July was going to be in between, though, and July was joyful. Choppy for sure. In between can mark a local top. Y'all don't think it's going to be bearish August or awful August like some people think it is? Neither. You make money by both longing and shorting what I see. JR says amazing August. Okay. If we get new all-time highs, JR called it first. If we get new all-time highs, if ETH goes above 4K, and higher, BTC above 123K and higher, then JR is going to get all the praise. In between is Nick. I mean, there's a lot of bullish stuff. There's still treasury companies buying, and there's like Project Crypto. There's a lot of bullish news, and also the global liquidity is still going up, right? So if you buy that correlation, then that could be a continued driver, right? There's a lot of potential catalysts. August equals bullish. But anyways, folks, I will see y'all on Monday, okay? We are in an exciting time. It's early August. Let's see who's right or wrong. Let's see if August is amazing or awful or in between. I can't wait to find out with y'all. We will stay tuned with the latest news, breakdowns, analysis. That is what we do. We're going to track KOL calls. We're going to call them out together if they're right or wrong. Yeah.